Now Pedersen blasts all that. Diving save! Hart as he flashes across. Briere sets up Carl. Side of the net. Deflected. Score! Briere moving in. Stops. Cuts to the middle. Still has a shot! Score! Here's Hughes giving it across. Oh, it's like a save! Save by Maher! He's an angle! Short-handed mid! He scores! Up top, cruising is Provorov. He scores! Ivan Provorov!
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Flyer Up Podcast. I'm your host, Amedeo Grassia, along with my partner, Chris Maher. As always, we live stream on the Painted Lines, TTP Sports and Flyers Fan Mania 93, as always. And for people who can't tune into the podcast on time, you're late, you just miss it entirely. It's always going to be on Apple, Spotify, where you listen to the podcasts at. And we're trying something new today because apparently I just figured it's out on StreamYard. You can also do, for some reason, we always thought it was just 3, but I guess the good guys at the Painted Lines upgraded the service. So now we could do more than 3. So we have a couple of Twitter pages that we're streaming on. Currently, we're doing my Twitter account, Amedeo Grassia 98, and the Flyer Up Podcast Twitter account. So hopefully we can get some more viewership there and just more people to join up.
I'm gonna see if it's working actually.
Yeah,
see if I can pull it up.
That'd be a, because I checked on my phone first. It does show it, but it's like
it does. Yeah, it comes up.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting. So we are at the end of preseason. The Flyers' final game against the Washington Capitals wrapped up, I would say, like an hour and a half ago. They fall to the Washington Capitals by a score of 5-3 and finished the preseason at a record of 2-3-1 out of the total of 6 games. And now we are officially a week away from the start of actual Flyers hockey, regular season hockey, and we can be even more hype. But there's a lot of stuff that we can talk about. We're going to discuss this game. We're going to discuss just the entire preseason in general, thoughts and everything, maybe pros and cons, some of our worries.
Frost getting sent down.
Frost also getting sent down. That's a lot. That's something we're going to get into, the lineup, everything, and more. And we're also going to get into some stuff probably during this week before the season starts. So definitely look out for that. But I think we should get into the game at hand that just wrapped up tonight. Flyers lose to the Washington Capitals by a score of 5-3. There were positives to take out of this game. There were some negatives. There was a lot of momentum shifts. There was a lot of scraps. I mean, this game was full of more scraps than the Flyers had probably the entirety of last season. My goodness. It just felt like and it feels like this entire preseason, too. The Flyers stepped up for each other more times than they did at any game last year. So I guess that's one of the positives you can take out of this. So.
Is it me or did it seem like the Capitals broadcasters were just continually wanting to bring up in the first 5 minutes how bad the Flyers were last year? It felt like they did it 4 times. I muted them at one point. I'm like, I can't keep listening to saying how bad we are. It's like, dude, I get it. We sucked last year. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
I think that's gonna be if you're gonna be watching this on other people's broadcasts, you're gonna be watching this ESPN, ABC,
dude. TNT. Just imagine national TV.
Oh God.
Imagine the first game against Boston on TNT. The first national game, that's all they're gonna talk about.
Yeah, it's going to be something like that most likely. That's going to be a major topic all year. And yeah, we definitely have our own thoughts and concerns of this team. So there's definitely a lot to get into, but there's a lot of positives to talk about in this game too. Cam Atkinson showing he can rip one and also throw the puck. The knuckle puck as well. Yeah, Claude Giroux shifted the momentum in that second period, which was very nice to see. And there are some negatives, the power play. You wish they can score because they got a lot of chances on the power play today. The penalty kill, even though they looked pretty decent on the 4-minute on double minor, they did allow a power play goal, and that's been a major consistent theme throughout the preseason. The penalty kill really hasn't been the strongest yet, but that's still something hopefully that will gel into something better with a little bit of the new line combinations. So there's something to look forward to, especially concerning the special teams. And that's definitely going to be one of my more concerns going into this season. Just looking at this team, just seeing if the special teams can improve. And hopefully these additions that they added, and yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time to mesh. Hopefully they can find a way to improve on that special team, because that's probably one of the more important things besides other players like Carter Hart, like guys like Travis Konecny, like anyone else on the team. special teams are very important for the success of the Philadelphia Flyers. So, Chris, I want to get your thoughts on this game, just its entirety, before we get into basically our major thoughts and concerns as we look into those in more depth.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think tonight's game and really the 6 games we saw, they went 2-3-1 in the preseason. They had some moments where they looked good, moments where they were okay. Special teams was here and there. I think really, again, I try not to overanalyze the preseason because I think there are people that can do that, and there's also like the under analyzation, if that's a word, of the preseason too. I think there's the combination of the two of them can get kind of twisted around and things like that. But I think the things you expected from the Flyers were, how's the power play going to look? I think that was a big one. Carter Hart in the games that we saw him play, and I think just the overall team play was better. And 5-on-5, they believe they scored 8 goals 5-on-5. So maybe you'd want to see more goals 5-on-5. I don't really look at numbers too much in the preseason because they're, you have a different lineup every night for the most part. I'd say tonight's game and the October 2nd game are the really 2 games you want to really look at if you're looking at for a Flyers standpoint perspective, because those are the 2 games where you'd most likely see a lot of those guys are going to be on the opening night roster for the home opener on the 15th, next Friday. Amedeo, I just have to say, breaking news. The video is being uploaded now. The reason this podcast was delayed, I know this is very off topic. The reason this was delayed and the reason my video isn't up yet is because my phone decided to take a dump as I was recording. Not once, but twice. The grand joy of having to just freeze in the middle of me recording. I record a whole another 10-minute video, freezes again. So I'm sitting here with Amedeo, and he texted me about 8 times. He's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm sorry. My phone is giving me a problem. I'm trying to get into this thing. I had to delete a bunch of shit, go back into it, reinstall something. It was just a whole mess." So anyway, as I get into that, the Flyers, tonight they played okay. There were some moments that were good. I mean, they had a lot of zone time in the first 3-4 minutes of the first. Then it was all Washington from that. They had a power play, very hesitant to shoot early, and then really, as I said, it was all Capitals. Yandel kind of major boo-boo there on that goal. I don't know why he was going across the Braun. I don't think he really had any other play, though, if I'm being honest with you. I
think he more lost the puck than anything. I think he just turned it over, and Braun, I felt
he just fanned on it.
Yeah,
it was just a weird play.
Yeah, I think Braun could have did more on that thing too, because I feel like he was just staring at it when
I don't think he expected him to pass it.
Yeah, that could also be something. And just speaking of the momentum shifts, the start of the game for the Flyers was really good, but then it felt like the power play, they lost momentum off of that. The Caps got their thing going. First goal happened, then you go into the second period, Carlson gets the early goal, and then just everything just goes in a completely different direction. When Giroux scores, the Flyers take the shift of momentum, and then it just goes right back into the Caps' way. Just like there was nothing consistent about this game, which was, it was weird, but I did like that. Speaking of the physicality, was the players were stepping up for each other, which was a really good thing to see. Yeah, there were some instances, the Farabee hit during the game, and Tom Wilson went after him. I think some people were complaining about no one stepping up for Farabee in that instance, but I feel like in that instance, Farabee, I would say no, it wasn't a dirty hit at all. Yeah, it could have been called a penalty, maybe. It could definitely been called a penalty, but in that situation, I think Wilson was more angry at the cross check that Farabee did on the second attempt. And yeah, it's Wilson stepping up for a team. And I know people are gonna, bash on Wilson because Wilson's doing his thing, but it's just Wilson stepping up for his teammate. Farabee's stepping up for himself in that instance. I don't think people need to.
Wait, please bring up this comment.
What happened?
Please.
Which one?
You'll see it.
Is it this comment? Or am
No. Two under, the one that just came up.
Oh, Guido.
Yeah.
We're doing this already.
We're a week from game 1. No playoffs.
Look.
Too slow.
look. I already went through this instance on goddamn Facebook like 5 minutes ago. Like it was before we started this goddamn podcast. It's like Facebook is completely worse than any Flyers social media out there. Like there's this one Flyers group that I was in. I immediately left it. I'm just like, no, I'm not dealing with this shit this year. It's just this one old
It's
dude.
so bad.
This one old dude was literally just like, if for people that are watching this Flyers versus Capitals game right now, this is what you're going to see the entire season. Just errant passes, turnovers, bad goaltending play, no one stepping up for each other, the lack of physicality. I'm like, dude, it's literally the season has not started yet. And you're complaining. And you're saying one preseason game is going to define this entire team's season. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, that's just.
I'm not
just terrible.
I'm not trying to single you out, Guido. It's just the
No,
fact
I'm
that,
not either.
dude. Like, come on, be better than that.
Amedeo, is there any way you can bring this picture up onto the screen?
It depends
The picture
on.
I just sent you.
It's a possibility that I could. So we got the. Oh god. Oh boy. What the hell? What the heck is? You should have sent it to me on Twitter. Probably would have been easier.
Oh, I should have. Yeah, I'll do that now.
Yeah, definitely do that now, and I can post
That's
that
funny.
onto the screen eventually. Yeah, Dave already bringing it up. Yeah, he hates those guys that are so negative to give the Flyers. Like, I can understand people having their concerns. I can
Be
understand
like Dave. You just gotta be like Dave T.
Like, yeah, I can understand people are having the concerns. Like, I don't people that are overly negative, but I don't like people that are just overly just like there's no concern about this team in the world, because there's definitely some of those people out there that the Flyers are going to be this unbeatable team, which is not going to happen, which is not possible. Like, you have to have your even middle ground with this team. And that's what I'm going to look at this season, because I've stated it before. I have some concerns about this team going into the season because special teams, that's going to be one of the major things. Is the defense going to get better? Is the just overall forward play going to be better? They're already showcasing during this stretch of preseason that they're willing to step up for each other, which is a positive sign. And I like to see that. And I think the one thing that I'm looking for this season is definitely the offensive side, because you lose Jake Voracek, which was a critical part of your offense. He was one of your major playmakers in the lineup. He was a guy that can really dish out the puck. So that's something you're going to lose there. But hopefully when you have Cam Atkinson into the mix, he scores 2 goals tonight. He added a couple more goals in the previous preseason games. And hopefully he can pot you at least 25, 30 goals this season, be a consistent force in the offense. He's definitely not going to have the totals of assists that Jake Voracek would have consistently every year, but at least you have a guy in the lineup that can pop goals. But then going into some of the other concerns that I have possibly for this team, and hopefully this guy can prove me wrong this year, is a player like Travis Konechny. I'm going to be very critical of him this year, just because we know what he has done previously. He had 3 straight seasons of 24 goal seasons. And then when you got into the bubble, I know the entire team died off, but Travis Konechny was definitely one of those major implications there. He didn't score a goal. He started off hot last season, but then as the entire team fell off, he fell off as well, with a lot of other people too. But then also you're just looking at Konechny. I looked at him this preseason. He looked fine this preseason. He had some jump into his game, but the one thing that did concern me is the fact that in, I think, 6 preseason games, he had a total of 3 shots on net. He had more shots than that, but only 3 of them, I believe, went on net in total. He had 3 shots tonight, but they all missed the net.
He had did you see the chance he had late in the first on the power play? That they set him up for the dude. And he had a couple of those. Like, he had a 3-on-2 that kind of started the whole Flyers push in that second, where he went to drag and shoot it and fanned on it. There was another one where Couturier set him up on the power play and he just kind of shanked it. Like, it's not that I'm not like gonna. Again, I don't want to overanalyze it, but I don't want to harp on it too much either.
It's what Sean's saying right here. Konechny has to start putting pucks in the back of the net. He's getting the chances. He can't finish.
But then again, that line is playing well. You know what I mean? That line has looked great. So I don't want to, again, look at it too much as like, oh, well, you know, if TK's not scoring, but the other 2 are, and he's at least contributing, then that's fine. But it would be different if the team wasn't scoring. You know what I mean? And again, it's just preseason, and that's the first game we've seen of this lineup together, even though that line's been together for really since day 1 of camp. The only time it was broken up was the Boston game when Giroux was out and they put Farabee out there, and that was fine too. But no, I agree though. I think for the most part, it's just I feel like Konechny is one of those guys where he's going to get a lot of shit this year, and some of it is deservingly so because of the year that he had last year and everything. But then again, I think he also did have a lot going on in his personal life, which I don't think it's talked about a lot. Like the birth of his son, and he had COVID, right?
I think
he got hit with COVID at a different time.
Yes,
if I remember, even though I don't want to remember. But yeah, I mean, there were definitely a lot of things last year that went against him. But then again, I think for this year, it's just going to be a rebound year, not just for him, but the whole team. I know I'm going really long ahead.
I feel like you're going crazy over there.
Yeah, I'm just I get into this thing where I just don't shut the fuck up. Like there's just no there's no really in between.
Yeah, and I think there's also more conversation too, because especially during this preseason, especially tonight, definitely one player that we're going to have to watch out for this entire season is definitely a guy like Martin Jones, because it's like a Martin Jones, a Rasmus Ristolainen, and like the one thing, like I explained this to myself because I'm a crazy person. I talk to myself all the time, especially about the
I do the exact
Flyers.
same thing. It's funny. There's this girl I'm talking to, and and the other night I was on the phone, and she looked at me. She's like, "Are you talking to yourself?" I'm like, No, not at all. I was sitting there like thinking of line combinations in my head. I thought I was on mute. I'm literally talking to myself. Like.
I mean, like, this is basically like, yeah, I'm sitting. Yeah. Sometimes I sit here by myself and I'm literally just talking to myself in this empty goddamn room, thinking, "Oh, the Flyers, blah 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 blah." It's just like I'm crazy. Like, thankfully, no one walks in here.
It's like verbal diarrhea. It just doesn't stop.
Yeah, I'm thankful. Yeah, I'm thankful no one walks in here and asks, "Amedeo, are you okay?" Like, I think you're going a little crazy over there. Yeah. But yes, I admit myself that I am a crazy man because I care too much about this goddamn team, but. Going back to the topic at hand, but the couple of players, yes, Rasmus Ristolainen and Martin Jones, their track records are going to follow them this entire season for whatever they do, especially Rasmus Ristolainen, we could talk about a bunch, but Martin Jones, this preseason, I know people have been bashing this entire preseason. I have no idea why. I thought he looked fine. I thought he looked fine this entire preseason. Yeah, there are definitely some goals. Like the first Boston game, definitely wasn't his best. Yeah, I thought Jones looked fine this preseason.
He was fine. Tonight he gave up a couple ones. Are like, holy shit. Like the one that was called back on Sprong, dude, he was literally sitting there like a statue. He was like, and it just went right by him. And I'm like, oh. I was like, oh, cool. The first one wasn't his fault. The second one was a beautiful shot and it was wide open. The third one was not his fault either.
Yeah,
the one that was called back, and then the 2-on-1, that wasn't his fault either. The 2-on-1 was a great play.
The 2-on-1 was also a defensive breakdown as well. Yeah,
a
great shot block, a great pass going up the ice.
Yeah, and it was a good pass from Shiri because he froze Provorov.
Yeah,
and then Ellis, who's the guy who gets like 90% of his shots go through the net. Of course, the one gets blocked and he go down and score. It's just an unfortunate play.
And also something you can also talk about tonight as well is the Alex Ovechkin injury in that first period when he tried to lay the hit on Travis Konechny and he ended up not being able to put pressure on his leg and he had to limp off the ice. He hobbled into the locker room. So hopefully everything is fine with Ovechkin, and you definitely don't want to see a player go down like that. And hopefully it's just not a lot of cause for concern. They're going to reevaluate him over the weekend.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't want to see a guy like Ovechkin go down. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but the way that he was not able to put weight on it, I think it was his left leg, is definitely cause for concern, especially just like with his age and how much toll he's definitely put over his body over the course of years. Just hopefully it's not like a major leg injury that can haul him out for a while. That's definitely something Washington does not need.
No, for sure. And I think that play with TK was just a weird play. Like I think they said it on the broadcast that it wasn't anything serious, and hopefully it's not, because I don't want I want Ovechkin to break Gretzky's record, so that's another reason why I don't want him to get hurt. But again, that would be rough to see that if he's out for a long time, and that would obviously hurt the Caps too.
Yeah, especially. And hopefully,
That's such a funny comment from Sean.
All right. Yeah. Speaking of shots on that, does Justin Braun ever get a shot through without it being blocked ever?
I mean, I don't think Braun is ever really put into a spot where he's like, "Oh, I'm going to shoot this at the net." Like he just doesn't. It either goes into the corner or into the swarm of players in front of the net.
Yeah, I don't think Braun's too overly concerned about the biscuits that he throws on net.
Exactly. He's not offensive, so it's not. You're not looking for Braun for your goals from the point.
Yeah, if you were concerned about Justin Braun being your offensive defenseman on the year, I think that'd be a major problem with the team itself. Yeah. Having Justin Braun your best offensive defenseman, that sounds very hilarious at the same time. But
yeah, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, just going back to the Martin Jones conversation, I'm just like, every goal he allows, I'm seeing through Twitter, I'm just like, Martin Jones sucks. Martin Jones is this. Can we get rid of Martin Jones? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, God, Jesus. Calm down.
Just give the guy a break, man.
Like, I know every goal he's going to give up this year, everything that's going to be iffy, his track record is going to follow him. I know his numbers the past 3 seasons with San Jose, they've definitely been not good. Not good at all. I'm not going to defend that because, he has not been good. I'm going to give him the benefit.
San Jose's also gone.
Yeah, San Jose has also gone very downhill as well.
They went from the conference finals to
bad to bad.
Conference finals, right?
Conference finals against St. Louis, and then they went from bad to worse.
And then shit, and then even more shit. So it was just...
And they're probably going to be worse this year. They're probably going to be one of the...
I don't remember what they did in the offseason, if they got better or...
I don't think they really did because they're still going through all the Evander Kane stuff.
Oh, Christ.
It feels like new stuff is coming on every day with Evander Kane. Mm-hmm. So I just don't think their team got overly better. I feel like they're going to shop Tomas Hertl this year as well. I've seen some Flyers fans that go after Tomas Hertl. He would be a perfect third line center for this team. I would love that too, but I'm not going to get overly my hopes up there. But,
but you'd have to give up a good amount for Hertl.
Yeah.
Like that would be like Konechny. Like 1-for-1 maybe. Or
if that road comes down there, we'll get to that eventually.
Yeah.
I'm not overly concerned about trading for Tomas Hertl
either. I don't think they have cap for that, do they?
Nah, I don't think the Flyers have cap for Hertl either. No way, no. So I'm trying to look at some of these comments here just so if there's any interesting questions that here we go. Got one from EJW talking about what line should Konechny be on. If he doesn't score, should he drop to the third line? So I'm assuming AV right now, he's going to start him on that first line. He's going to try to give him all the best possible chances to succeed. And we know Alain Vigneault, he's going to swap lines when something doesn't work. He's going to mesh him up. He's going to see what works. And we've been seeing more of the consistent lines throughout preseason. We saw the Konechny, Couturier, Giroux line, first line now, with Brassard most likely being your second line center. It's going to be Brassard. It's going to be Joel Farabee. Who was playing alongside Brassard and Farabee tonight? I forget who it was. Okay, it was Oscar Lindblom.
It was Farabee with Brassard and Atkinson, and then Lindblom with Lawton and JVR.
Well, yes, that was. I was confused with it was either Lawton or Lindblom on that second line spot. Then you got the Thompson, you got the Nicolas Aube-Kubel on the fourth line. That's most likely going to be your fourth line the entire year. So it's going to be, and I was a little confused too because I was texting you this before the game started. I did not realize Carter Hart had a maintenance day today, so I was very concerned. Where's Carter Hart at? I would love for him to be on the bench. He's not on the bench. It's Felix Sandstrom there. Why is Carter Hart not playing in this game? But then you text me, oh, Hart's on a maintenance day. It's fine. Don't worry about anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they said it the other day. It was bumps and bruises per AV. It's nothing major. Hopefully, it's nothing major.
Yeah, that would suck.
I don't want it to escalate into anything.
I guess that's the one benefit of not having to worry about starting for a week. Because your first game, it's not until next week, Friday against the Vancouver Canucks. And then the first, it's going to be exciting because hockey starts on Wednesday, which is going to be really nice to see. It's going to be, I just can't wait for the NHL to start. First game, Tampa Bay versus Pittsburgh.
Dude, I feel like a kid on Christmas that night. It's the best feeling. It's oh God, there's so many games on. Remember, the bubble was great. It sucked, but it was great because you had 6 games a day.
Yeah.
It was game. Like this Sunday for football, isn't there a game at 9:30 in the morning?
I think so. It's probably one
game.
Wait, I think so.
This is really off topic, but I had to dive into this because I thought about this for 10 minutes earlier. Why the hell would you have a game in London and have the Falcons play the New York Jets?
They always put the bad teams in London for some reason.
Why?
I don't know. It's the it's the NFL. I have no idea why.
It just makes no sense to me.
Well, actually, I was
try to that's just dumb.
Yeah, actually, I was a day behind. The first games are on Tuesday. Actually, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, and Seattle, Vegas. Both games are on ESPN. So Tuesday, you're going to be a kid in a candy store or waking up on Christmas Day. And I guess some other fun topics we can get into as well. We'll get into this a little bit later. Definitely the goal song is going to be definitely a big topic this year. What is it going to be? Tarzan Boy, Beer, or whatever that third song is?
I don't even get me started.
So before we get into any of that,
had the perfect opportunity to use Roxanne, didn't do it. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Turn on the red light. It's perfect. It is perfect. What happens when you score? Red light goes on. Like it's the perfect opportunity, the best goal song idea, and they didn't use it. You used one that's from the shot on an iPhone commercial. You used Tarzan Boy, which I've never heard in my life, and then whatever the beer song is. Don't even know what that is.
I don't know what the beer song is.
I've never even heard I think they did. Didn't they did they go away with the helmet ads?
I think they did. Yeah, the Flyers haven't worn helmet ads this entire preseason. I think some teams are still wearing them.
The jersey ad would probably bring more money than the helmet, right?
Yeah, but the jersey ad's not coming until next season, so I think we have a little bit to wait. So I guess they're assuming that now they're going to be
ads on the ice for the Phantoms.
I have not seen the ads on the ice.
It looks like Europe.
What?
It's all over the ice. It looks like the end of the year when they have the fans come in and draw.
Oh God,
paint. That's what it looks like.
Oh God, yeah, I gotta look. I gotta look. A couple
weeks ago, Bill Meltzer showed me a picture of it. It's literally like
I gotta look at this.
The entire thing.
Oh boy, I gotta see this. Is it on the Phantom page, or did they not show the ice yet? No. Oh no, did they not show it yet? Damn. I wanted to see that, but I guess I can't. And then Sean Fitzpatrick saying we're claiming the Brass Bonanza as our goal song. Damn it! I don't think we could steal the Hartford Whalers Brass Bonanza. Sadly, I think that's something that's solely tied to Hartford. And whenever the Carolina Hurricanes wear the Hartford Whalers jerseys, I don't think that's anything.
Is it the
yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Brass Bonanza.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I think so. Before we get into the goal song topic, we can get into the Morgan Frost conversation. Since Morgan Frost, everyone was expecting him to win the spot when Kevin Hayes went to get his other surgery, and he's going to be out for that extended period of time. And everyone just assumed at this point that Morgan Frost was going to win that second line center spot. But we saw during this week that Morgan Frost was one of the players that got sent back down to Lehigh Valley. And I guess that was a shocker for a lot of people and maybe not a shocker for as much. For me, I would say that, yeah, I would like Frost to be on the team to start the season, but then you got to look at the entire picture. Like, yes, when you're looking at Frost for what he's been through with this team, you're expecting he's one of the top prospects in his organization. You would want him to win that spot out of training camp. But then when you look at the bigger picture, he hasn't played a lot of hockey in 18 months. When the AHL shut down before when COVID everything started, to last season starting, he came in from the Couturier injury. Then he got injured in that very first or second game that he played, and he missed the entire season. So he really hasn't played. I think he's probably only played like maybe 3 or 4 games in the span of 18 months. So he really wasn't going to be in the tip top of game shape. Like he came into camp this year. Chuck Fletcher said he was probably in the best shape possible. He put on some pounds and he looked as good as he possibly could. But then translating to the ice, he had his good moments, but definitely he didn't wow anyone. He had his games where he wasn't the best, maybe that first game against Boston, but then he also had some of those games where he showcased a really good two-way game. He potted a goal in one of the shootouts, and it just wasn't nothing to where it wowed everyone. I popped.
I think that the thing that they're trying to hone in with him is his play off the puck. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we saw 3 different ways that Morgan Frost could play in those games. In Boston, completely invisible in the second Flyers preseason game. Third game against Washington, he made a lot of good plays. He actually caught my eye a good amount. And I mentioned it a lot in my game recap video. There was a lot of times, like 5-6 times, he made good plays, where it was like the little things that turned into the big things. And then the other game after that, the game against Boston on Monday, he had more of a defensive game. He had some good breakouts. He had 4 hits. He was registered with 4 hits. And overall, I thought he looked good defensively. He wasn't, as flashy offensively, but he still made some good plays. But yeah, I think it's just a play away from the puck. Like he has to play like he like everybody talked about how much he looked differently and how bigger he got and he put on muscle, as you mentioned. He didn't play like that in some of the games. He did at times. He's shown flashes of that, but I think he just has to get more into that. And I think I don't think the AHL reps are gonna hurt him at all.
Yeah, get him top line minutes down in the AHL, see what he can do. He's going to be called up eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be that long before he is called up. So
yeah, but Fletcher did mention they don't want him on a yo-yo either.
Yeah,
which is perfect.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's gonna be important too. You can't really like really just ruin the player by consistently.
And they did that a little bit the first time.
Yes,
not much, a little bit. Some of it was more of like it was just a longer period of a yo-yo. It was like 20 games, then he got sent back down, and then did he get called up again?
I think so.
And then was it maybe once, and then they sent him back, and then he was done.
Yeah, I think that was one of the cases.
The year. And then he was an all-star with Lehigh Valley. So,
yes, yeah. I'm trying to look at this right now because your centers down the middle right now are going to be Sean Couturier, second line center be Derek Brassard, and then you got Scott Lawn on third line, then you got Nate Thompson on the fourth line, and then I maybe would have liked to see Drew maybe be the second line center.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah, because I feel like that would give you a lot better depth down the middle than forcing Brassard to be that second line guy.
And the other thing is that it really just adds more depth. Like I'm not as worried. It's not that I'm worried that Brassard's there, but it's just Drew being there is just better. You know what I mean? Like you have your number one, really your number 2 faceoff guy playing number 1 center, and then your number 1 faceoff guy playing number 2 center. That's perfect. And then Brassard can play wing. He's played it before, but I think they really like Brassard's game as center, and I have too. I think he's looked good, and I think he still has a lot more game left than people realize. Yeah. But I definitely don't think it's going to really hurt the Flyers either. Like it's not like it's like holy shit, you know what I mean? I'm looking at it more of a fact if they can just gel well as a group with these lines, and obviously if they don't work, or they're going to switch them because they do have a bunch of scrimmages and stuff like throughout this week going into Friday, and there's probably going to be different lines, and I would assume in the first probably 3 of those games, and then they'll finally pick a rhythm and then stick with it. One thing is too, Garrett Wilson, surprising to see that his name was there, and also Jackson Cates, the 2 of them bid out Morgan Frost. I don't think anybody could have guessed that unless you had an 8 ball or like a magic ball or something like that. But yeah, I mean, like it's surprising because those are guys that kind of came in, and I think Wilson had a cup of coffee with the Penguins. I think he played like 50 games with them, and that was really it. And then he was with the Phantoms last year, and he had just an AHL deal, and now he's could be 13 forward for this team. There was part of me that thought Cates. I thought Cates actually looked really good in most of the games that he played. And another thing is too is he's older. He's 24, so like you could see more from him, and the Flyers could want the not veteran side, but have to rely on somebody who's a little bit younger. He's older than most rookies, is the way I should say it.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, because like with Jackson Cates, he played a full 4 years in college, so
yeah,
and I feel like people that play more of the years in college, they have a better chance at being in the bottom 6 than say like a guy that's coming like directly, I would say, from first, second year in college or something like that. Like with Morgan Frost too. Like Morgan Frost, you're a type of player that you can't be playing on the 4th line. He can't be playing 3rd line minutes because that's not where he is going to succeed. Like you want to put him in a position to succeed. A guy with Jackson Cates, his ceiling is most likely at best is a 3rd line player, but Jackson Cates, he's a good 4th line player. Like he's got the experience from college, and like what you said with his age at 24, he has that chance to get right into the 4th line of the lineup and just be there. Like he's not going to get that many minutes. He's going to be just that grinder type of player. Like that's what Jackson Cates is, and that's what he's always going to be. And yeah, like throughout the course of the preseason, I think he's looked fine, and he definitely earned a spot. Yeah, and he was also something I would never have bet of him to be Morgan Frost out for a roster spot, but that reality, that's what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think it's nothing against Frost either. I just think there were a lot of people that were like, once they saw Hayes was hurt for a good amount of time, it was like they just wanted to give Frost the spot because he's Frost.
Yeah,
and that can't happen. He still had to earn that spot, and he sadly didn't. It's not. I'm sure he's not happy. Like Fletcher mentioned, obviously he's not happy. He's going to the AHL. He had a prime opportunity to make the NHL out of camp and do that for first time, really, because he hasn't done that yet. Him and Farabee were the two guys that were like, oh my God, those guys are going to make the team. Well, Torensky and Bunneman end up making the team in 1920 to start the year when they go out to Prague, and everybody's like, what the hell? So it's not the first time that's happened. And then those guys kind of go down there, the AHL, and Farabee obviously dominated, and Frost did too. There's just more you want to see. And I think there's a lot of people too that thought he would go to wing to start, but the Flyers have kept him at center, and they've continued that. And that was the big thing they did when he came up the first time, was keep him at center. They switched the lines around. Him with Giroux and Konechny had flashes, and they had one really good game together against Carolina. Solid game against Florida. It was back-to-back games, and the Flyers lost the Florida game. They won the Carolina game, and then the line didn't really do much after that. And then Frost ended up getting. He actually, remember when he got? I don't know if you remember this, but he got sent down like 3 hours before a game one time.
I don't remember that actually.
They were playing Anaheim, and it was during the Christmas road trip, and he got sent down like 3 hours before. And they were like, he was done. And then they had like a switch in the lines. I think Kasha ended up going into the lineup on the road. And this is the only game that they won on like the California road trip near Christmas when Hayes scored in overtime. I don't know if you remember it, but then after that, Frost played that Sharks game when they lost like 6-1. They got smoked. I don't know why I remember this.
Yeah.
But he got smoked.
I don't remember this at all.
No? I have a video up on it on my channel. I'm gonna pull it up now. That would be really embarrassing if I just said this whole thing and then he ended up getting like called up instead of sent down. But I remember he did get sent down. I remember talking about it before.
And I guess when you look through that, we got some comments to look at here. We got EJW saying that, do you think the Flyers are playing tougher this year in preseason? I see aggressive play, backing up each other, and looks like everyone wants to get into the scrums. Yeah, that's a definite bright spot looking at this preseason. The Flyers are not afraid to get into those scrums. They're not afraid to stand up for each other, which is something that they did not do last year at all. So it looks like right now this locker room, they want to play for each other from the look preseason. They want to play for each other. They want to defend each other. They want to back each other up, which is a very good sign. And I like seeing that. Mm-hmm. And he also follows up that question with, do you think Morin comes back from injury? Would he get a shot in the lineup again? Or does this doom him with all the young defensemen behind him? Sam Morin, if he does come back, he's most likely just going to be that seventh defenseman role. I feel like that's all he can be at this point. Maybe the best he could be is like a fifth or a sixth defenseman if he continues to be healthy. But I think if he does come back, the more he's going to be is a seventh defenseman. Mm-hmm. He's really just been that guy for the locker room because the locker room really loves him. He loves being in that locker room. He loves standing up for the boys. So he's one of those, even though like he's a really young player, he doesn't really have that much experience. He just like, for some reason, he just likes being in that locker room. He likes that atmosphere. It's like a weird thing to explain, like, but he just, for some reason, his voice, like, they just like hearing it, I guess, as for what they did last year. And then we have also another question from EJW saying, will Lawton play third line center so far? Yeah, to start the season, I would assume Lawton is the third line center until Hayes comes back, and then Elaine Vigneault will ship the lines according to what they were probably going to do. But then when you think about this, Kevin Hayes, when he comes back, he's not going to be 100%. Nowhere close. No way in hell he's going to be 100%. He's going to be like 60, 70, 80. That's what he's going to be coming off of that surgery.
Yeah. And that's the thing. He was starting to feel better, and then he re-aggravated it. So it was like the same. How do I describe this without messing it up? It was the same. He told us, I remember doing when they did the press conference, because they had Hayes, and it was only a couple questions, but when they did it, it was when they went back in for the surgery, it was the same incision that they had made to the previous surgery. So they went right back into the same spot. So it was in the general area. So it was like the same, not like the same injury, but it was the same like incision they had already made on the previous surgery. And to go back to what I said, they had loaned Frost, and then they played a game. Like it was at like 5 o'clock. I think the game was at 8, and they loaned him at like 5. And then Raffle came back because he was hurt. I think this was when Raffle broke his finger, broke his pinky. You might remember this. You don't remember this at all?
It's these little details that I don't remember.
I did. I told you I remember the weird shit.
Yeah, I could tell.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I'm going back and look at all these videos. This stuff is like so crazy. Me and you doing the old pod and everything, and
oh god,
the old podcast logo, which was just the text over the orange.
How about the old podcast logo, the one when you put gritty?
That was great.
Yeah, basically we're this is our second year actually third year doing this podcast, which has been this time's flying by at this point. It's weird how fast it goes by. Like you just don't realize it at this point.
I know. It's crazy because we already went through a good playoff run, and
we went through a good playoff run. We went through a terrible season. So now what's it going to be? Are we going to get the same old? Are we going to get something in the middle? Are we going to get a Stanley Cup win? I don't know. Like we need something. Like we need something. And also something we forgot to bring up, which we should talk about now. The Flyers' new Hall of Fame inductees this year, Paul Holmgren and Rick Tocchet, are going to be the 2 inductees to the Flyers Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah. Holmgren getting inducted to the USA Hall of Fame and then the Flyers Hall of Fame.
Yep.
That's awesome. I mean, like these are guys that obviously have they've just been a Flyer like their whole time. Especially Holmgren. Tocchet, a lot of people compared him to like Simmons at the time, like how Simmons was with the Flyers when he played. That was Tocchet. So, it's awesome to see. And obviously those guys are still involved in the game and things like that. And it's awesome. And then they also announced the alumni game on the 15th.
Yep.
And then the game that they're getting inducted is the 16th. So that's awesome. So I'm sure. Do you get tickets for that because you're a season ticket holder?
I think
we early access.
I think we get early access. I don't think we automatically get them. No, we have to buy them still.
Yeah, it's only lower bowl, right?
No, I think you can buy the upper bowl too.
Oh, you can.
That's
cool. It's a Monday. The game the 16th is a Tuesday against Calgary at 7.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be
any of those 6 guys. I didn't mean to cut you off, but any of the 6 guys were a no-brainer.
Yeah. Like Lou Nolan's going to get in eventually. I know a lot of people were complaining that Lou Nolan should have got in. I feel like they're going to wait until he retires because I feel like it's eventually going to happen at some point. He is getting up there in age.
Yeah.
So I think Lou is eventually going to retire one of these years. So like he's still a great PA announcer. He's been the Flyers PA announcer since day one. So he's had a very historic career, and he's going to be probably one of the best PA announcers in NHL history. So he's going to get his day in the Flyers Hall of Fame. No way, no doubt,
for sure.
And then like the other guys that were on the list, you got Simone Gagne. Was Danny Briere was on the list too, right? Or was it someone else?
No, Briere wasn't on the list actually.
For some reason, I was thinking Briere. I feel like it was someone else with Gagne because I know it was Holmgren, Tocchet, it was Lou Nolan, it was Simone Gagne. I know there was another guy. I can't remember it off the top of my head.
I'll find it.
Yeah, when we think about that, we got a question here from Kevin saying that, who do you think will fill in for the second line center because Hayes is out and we can trade Hayes or JVR to get Hurdle or Brady Tkachuk? Your thoughts? Oh, and Sean followed up. It was Recchi. That was the other guy. That was it for the Flyers Hall of Fame.
Yes, good eye, Sean.
Thank you, Sean, always having our back. But back to this question. So right now, who is going to fill the second line center role? It's most likely going to be Derek Brassard for that time being. He's going to be that role. And going to
they're not trading anybody.
Yeah, they're not going to be trading a guy like Kevin Hayes or JVR to get a Hurdle or Brady Tkachuk. That's not
they
even
don't have cap space. Like God,
It's like to get Brady Kachuk, you're going to give up an arm and a leg just because of how young he is and how much value
what
that
is it
he does
everyone
have.
with their obsession over the Kachuk brothers? I don't get it. Like,
I love Matt Kachuk, but it's just that I guess because of the way they play, it's the same thing that you were talking about, like Rick Tocchet. It's those guys that play that way, Rick Tocchet, Wayne Simmons. They play that power forward, gritty. They could score goals. They could do basically everything on the ice.
yeah,
And that's what the Kachuk brothers can do. Matt Kachuk can do it. Brady can do it. So basically, that's why people are so influenced by them.
yeah. It was
be a Flyer.
the alumni was Gagne, Holmgren, Bob Kelly, Lou Nolan, Mark Recchi, and Rick Tocchet.
Okay. And also, EJW asked if Chris Tyrion is in the Flyers Hall of Fame. He is not in the Flyers Hall of Fame. And I don't think he's going to get into it, even though I would love to see Bundy in it, just to hear the Bundy speech. I think that's probably would be the best part. If he would ever get into the Flyers Hall of Fame, that would be something that's very funny. And also, Sean has another question: does the Bobby Ryan train to the Flyers continue this season? I don't think that's going to happen, sadly.
No,
And I think
Bobby Ryan. No,
yeah,
no way.
and I think we are getting towards the end. It's like almost 10 of 12 right now. I guess one last thing for you people in the comment section, and Chris, what do you think is going to be the goal song?
You really had to end it on that.
Yes. Yes.
I hate you. Fuck it, Tarzan Boy.
It's only three choices. It's Tarzan Boy, that beer song, or whatever the other song. I keep forgetting the name of it. But whatever that third one is, it's not going to be the goal song.
Shot on iPhone song.
Yeah, it's the Tarzan Boy or the beer song. It's most likely going to be Tarzan Boy at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It is not going to be Brass Bonanza, Sean. As much as I would love that, it's not going to be Brass Bonanza. Kevin, no, Bobby Ryan is not on the Flyers. That he is not on the Flyers. I repeat that he is not on the Flyers. EJW says it should be AC/DC Back in Black. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of songs that they could have chose. I felt like at this point, because I don't see people voting in Tarzan Boy. I don't see them voting in Beer. Like, I don't see Flyers fans voting these specific three songs as the goal songs. I just don't see that happening. And I feel like the Flyers, they had their 3 goal songs in mind, and they said, okay, fans, you can also put in the say of maybe what goal songs you can get to. And we would test that throughout the preseason. But I feel like these are how all these types of lists go. They say, oh, it's all generated by the fans. But no, they already have 3 in mind. I feel like that's the way it went.
Or they just went with the players, what they liked.
But it's funny because Giroux and Farabee want to do back.
I know. Yeah. Well, Giroux scored some big goals with that song. But Jason Martinez made a good point that was like, all of the fans don't want to go back to don't want to remember the past, but they won't dupe. Which is funny. But then again, it is just a goal song, so who cares?
I just want something that's good and that you can chant to. But I do also feel at the end of the day, Tarzan Boy is like, if the team is winning, Tarzan Boy, if it is that song, is going to be something that does grow on people over time, just because it's like one of those weird songs.
Well, the Caps had Country Road.
They did.
Like, this is not a goal song. I'm sorry. It's something to chant to cheer on.
Country Road.
Yeah, take me home. Like, just stop.
I'm trying to think of like teams that have like really good goal songs.
West Virginia.
Like the best goal song most likely out of the entire it's Chelsea Dagger. Like, that's the best goal song currently in the entire NHL, in my opinion. Like, there's also other teams that you can look. I think the Rangers do have one of the best goal songs, even though like I don't like the Rangers, but they have a really good goal song and it's fucking catchy. So is
Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas does have a good one.
The one that was by the band. The band
that's
from
really
Texas that did it for them, and when their cup run.
I was gonna say that's really descriptive. That band.
Oh yeah, I know, by the band. Thanks.
We got Cole Drew saying he wants Duke back. You and everyone else. There's a lot of people that want Duke back. There's a lot of people that wanted to, like my father. Like there was like I wouldn't mind if it was the song either. It was before they went to the I think the song was like it was the goal song that they had like 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. It was a goal song. It was like the Brohem song, the one that the Ducks have currently, or something like that. So it was before that, like before like the lockout and all that stuff. I think when they first moved into the at the time Core State Center, it was a Van Halen song. I forget which specific song it was, but it was a Van Halen song.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like if I can pull it up right now, it's before we get off here. I think this is one of the let's see, Flyers. I wish I had this up earlier, but you never know. It's late at night, and I goal horn on YouTube.
Yeah, the one from 2004.
Yes, it is a 2004 goal song, if I can type correctly. So let me bring this up right now.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, that would be good. I wouldn't mind that either.
So I guess one last question before we end off the pod. So Kevin, again, do you think that Cam York will play this season? I think he should do. I think he should do. He can be paired up with Keith Yandel, and it'll be perfect because a veteran can teach the rookie. Your thoughts? I don't think Cam York is going to play with the team to start the season. He's most likely going to get top minutes down in the AHL, and he's most likely going to be the first call up, him or Yegor Zamula, when someone does get injured. I feel like that's most likely what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think the thing is too is that he wouldn't fit with Yandel. It's a two offensive defensemen that like moving the puck and can both quarterback and power play. They're not going to put them on the same pair together.
Yeah. So I guess now we can officially end off this edition of the Flyered Up podcast. The Flyers, they just wrapped up their preseason tonight, losing to the Washington Capitals, but we are a week away from Flyers hockey as they play the Vancouver Canucks next Friday at the Wells Fargo Center. Definitely cannot wait for that, but we'll definitely have another pod upcoming this week, just previewing the season and everything, just going in more depth to see what this Flyers team can do this year. So definitely stay tuned for that. Definitely check the Flyered Up podcast everywhere, social media, just everywhere. Same thing with the Painted Lines, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Definitely go look at them there. Definitely go check out our specific YouTube channels. For me, TTP Sports. For Chris, it's Flyers Fan Mania 93. For our Twitter accounts, for me, it's Amedeo Grassia 98. For Chris, it's _Chris Maher. And then for the Flyered Up podcast Twitter, you definitely go follow the Flyered Up podcast Twitter. Definitely do that. So thank you, everyone, for joining this edition of the Flyered Up podcast. I'm your host, Amedeo Grassia. He is Chris Maher, and we will see you next time.